Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2016 GoBowling.com 400 at Kansas Speedway race review. And this time it's going to be a shorter recap, mainly due to the fact that on Sunday, Mother's Day, I'm going to have some busy plans. And as it is being recorded, it's late Saturday night. So, overall thoughts on the race? It just wasn't good. And that's the nicest way of putting it. I think this race is, if I were to right now make a list of like top 3 best races, top 3 worst races, I think this would be in my top 3 worst races. There simply just wasn't a whole lot of good racing out there. Like the only good racing was just the battle late in the race between Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, which lasted for maybe about 10 plus laps in the final green flag run. But that doesn't make up for what was mostly a blah, lackluster race. Martin Truex Jr. had the best car, but his team beat himself by not putting on all the lug nuts or something broken in the cars. So maybe the team didn't beat themselves. It was just bad luck. Like, I don't exactly know how the loose would happen, but whether the loose wheel did happen, it caused the team to come back in again. And this was with about less than 60 laps to go, so it wasn't giving enough time for him to come back up to the pack and win the race. He was untouchable up until the whole race long, and no one really had anything for him up until that issue. And who happened to be the second car almost the whole race long? Kyle Busch. So once Kyle Busch got the lead, he then became almost untouchable. And after holding off a hard-charging Kevin Harvick, who tried many times to do it, Kyle Busch began pulling away in about the final 10 laps of the race, and Kyle Busch went on to score his first career win at Kansas. So now he only has 2 racetracks where he has not won at in the Sprint Cup Series: Charlotte and Pocono. He's won a short race at Pocono. Has won it many times at Charlotte in the Truck and Xfinity Series. So I think there's actually a good chance that Kyle Busch could cross both of those tracks off of his winless list this year. Charlotte, the Coca-Cola 600 is coming up later this month, and Pocono, and both Pocono races are in June and August, so they're not that far away. As far as who else was good in this race, well, I mentioned Kevin Harvick. He once again got another second place finish, which I think was his second or third second place finish of the season. Kurt Busch ran strong once again, but is just simply missing something in order to win this race. Matt Kenseth finally gets his first top 5 of the season, and he didn't have the best car, but for once he had a fast car and was able to get a really good finish, and hopefully for him, this is gonna create some good momentum. And they're going to start getting more consistently great finishes, and maybe a win is down the road. Because up until this moment, Matt Kenseth has had fast cars almost every single race, and yet has gotten just mediocre or poor finishes, either due to him making mistakes or simply bad luck. As far as anyone else, Ryan Blaney gets his first top 5 since last year's Spring Talladega race. So just his second career top 10. And Ryan Blaney, it seems like for him and that team, things are starting to get better. Things are starting to get better for him because early on this season, they were running good and finished good. 6th place at Vegas, 10th place at Phoenix. But until Talladega, he had not finished inside the top 10. It was just kind of, running mediocre. But it seems like him and that team have gone back on track to where I think they can be running every single week, which is up front, top 5, top 10. Austin Dillon came out of nowhere to get a 6th place finish, so his impressive start to the season continues. AJ Allmendinger gets a 7th place finish, and if you look at his entire year last year, no top 5s, 3 top 10s. Already this year, after 11 races, 1 top 5, 3 top 10. So it looks like Allmendinger is definitely having a much better season, and even if he doesn't get a win, I think he could very well point his way into the chase. He's currently in the chase right now. And as far as that, there weren't really any other surprises in the top 10, in my opinion. The strangest incident of the race was what brought out the final caution, I believe, and that was a multi-car wreck that involved Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Joey Logano. So what happened was, I'm trying to remember what happened. Well, actually, what I'm doing is pulling up the race results. Okay, so what happened was that with less than 30 laps to go, they were battling very hard for second between Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. Down the back, Denny Hamlin made it 3 wide and going into turn number 3. Keselowski got loose. Denny Hamlin got loose. Larson got tapped from Hamlin. He went into the wall. Logano had nowhere to go. Ran into Hamlin. Keselowski was able to save the car. But what was strange about that was how Keselowski and Hamlin did make contact, and yet both got loose at the same time. I can't really remember the last time something like that happened. So it was definitely a strange incident, and Keselowski and Hamlin were all of a sudden contenders late in the race. Kyle Larson was having his best run, I think maybe the whole season. I mean, Kyle Larson was great on restarts, especially when he was on the high side. I don't think he had a car that could win, but definitely a car that could have finished as high as second. And unfortunately, his struggling season will continue. And as far as what else happened in the race, that's kind of it. As far as pre-race information, there wasn't really a whole lot happening between Talladega and Kansas. I mean, NASCAR did make public that they are going to look into what can be done about cars getting airborne. And honestly, I don't really think there's no easy solution to prevent cars from getting airborne, or I think it's impossible. I don't think any knee-jerk reactions need to be made. As far as anything else, other big story: the 2017 NASCAR schedule came out for all 3 series, and if you remember last year's announcement of 5-year sanction agreements, we're not going to be seeing any major schedule changes until at least 2021. So if you were upset that there were no major changes, that's why, and unfortunately you're going to have to wait until at least 2021, and maybe we'll hopefully get major schedule changes. Only noticeable changes were Texas. The spring Texas race is going back to being a daytime. The Dover goes back to be in June after the Coca-Cola 600. Every few years it seems to shift between May and June. This year it's in May, so next year it'll go back to be in June. We don't have the Father's Day off weekend is gone. We had a Father's Day off weekend last year and this year, but it won't be back next year. That was something I kind of liked, and so I'm going to miss that. But other than that, I don't think there were any changes whatsoever. Xfinity and Truck Series were mostly unchanged. As far as anything else, I guess the final big news story was this year's All-Star race format was announced, and it was the drivers' council, mostly Brad Keselowski, who came up with the idea. And I think the best word to describe it is interesting. So the segments remain unchanged, but the actual All-Star race is interesting. We have I think like 2 or 3 segments, and then in the final segment, this is where things get interesting. The top 9, 10, 11, something like that, they'll all be forced to pit. Meanwhile, if you weren't inside, if you weren't that high in the running order, you're gonna stay out, and you're gonna have to hold off the drivers behind you with fresher tires in like a 13-lap dash or whatever. So definitely, and Keselowski said it in his interview, whoever wins the All-Star race is truly going to earn it. So I think that'll be certainly an interesting All-Star race to watch in 2 weeks from now. And I think changes like this were needed because the All-Star race has mainly been a dud the last few years. But anyway, other than that, I think that's pretty much all I really have to say. So I would have wanted to do it to do it, the format like I've done pretty much up until this one when it comes to the race reviews. But like I said, as I'm recording this tomorrow, it's Mother's Day, and I got other busy plans, so that's why this video had to be shorter. I hope you can understand that. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you next week when I talk about Dover, and hopefully once we have a good Dover race.